debates and decisions that are shaping our continent now in Europeans.
In a far-flung corner of northern Europe, this schoolgirl's first language is Russian, but she's being taught in Estonian. She's also being introduced to English. These children will be trilingual. In Narva, the easternmost point of Estonia, 9 out of 10 inhabitants speak Russian and little or no Estonian. Some describe the linguistic division as dangerous. It could harm a large part of Estonia's population. To equip the next generation, the Vanalina school has adopted an immersion program pioneered by Canada and Finland. Its proponents see it as the key to integration. Young Russian speakers dive into the Estonian language from the first grade.
From the 4th and 5th grade onwards, more subjects are taught in Russian. By the end, 60% of the learning will be in the Estonian language and 40% in Russian.
The pilot project was launched in 2000 and the results are encouraging. The pupils' knowledge of both Estonian and their mother tongue Russian is measurably better than the levels in non-immersion schools. Their achievements in other subjects are also well above average. In the Vanalina school and the few dozen others that have taken the immersion plunge, Estonian and Russian speakers understand each other's languages. Elsewhere they don't. This raises genuine fears for the future. Estonia's capital, Tallinn, is booming, but head east and the standard of living tumbles. Salaries drop, crime rates climb, and public health suffers. Narva is in for more bad news. One of the town's biggest employers is in meltdown. The Greenholm textile mill plans to lay off well over 1,000 workers by this summer. In its Soviet heyday, Greenholm provided 12,000 jobs, less than a quarter of that today. Thanks to modern-day competition from Asia, the factory is history.
This import from low-cost countries, that is it has been continuing a long time, and then so far we have had possibilities to keep here full process.
Will Greenholm's lights go out completely? The manager sidesteps the question, saying the company aims to re-center in Sweden. The factory, like a town within the town, was founded 150 years ago by a baron from Bremen. Early workers' rights agitation brought Tsarist crackdowns. With the advent of Bolshevism, Soviet Estonia saw Greenholm expropriated. Once independent in 1991, Estonia re-privatized it and sold Greenholm to a Swedish group. The Narva correspondent of a Russian-language newspaper says the Estonian government should do more to encourage investors towards the eastern region. Already thousands of Narva's residents have left for Tallinn or to Finland, London, or crossing the border bridge have moved to resettle in Russia.
Schools are closing because there are fewer and fewer children. 2 years ago, this school behind me was closed. Another is being closed this week.
This is one of the disused schools. Since Estonia's independence, Narva has lost almost a fifth of its population, today 67,000. The government's launch of school reform is deeply disturbing to Russian-speaking teachers who face demanding Estonian language tests. Even in schools where Russian is dominant, the later high school grades require music, art, history, literature and citizenship to be taught in Estonian. Since few of the teachers are fully fluent in this language, the risk of losing the job is strong. The deputy head of Tonsimäe says the reform must stop and language instruction must be redesigned from the start.
I think the problem of learning Estonian has to be addressed through improvement of the methods used to teach foreigners and us Russians, since we are treated as foreigners in this case. Language teaching has to be paid more attention to right from the elementary level, because it's there that children are the most open to learning.
Elderly Russian speakers feel especially discriminated against in Estonia. For instance, taking medicines can be a health risk if the details are exclusively in a language they can't read. An Estonian sociologist makes a case for tolerance.
I have a simple suggestion for the package inserts of pharmaceutical products. My suggestion in no way breaks the law that says the only official language of the country is Estonian. We just have to add a Russian text to the instructions on how to take the medicine for the person who's not yet fluent in Estonian.
Russian speakers make up a third of the population. The law on citizenship, brought in after independence, imposing standards of language, meant many declined to take up an Estonian passport. They went for Russian passports.
The Lithuanian example is the right model. Everyone in the Russian community living here who wants Estonian citizenship should get it without any problem. That will be good for the general mood in Estonia.
The multilingual Russian intellectual Sergei Stadnikov agrees. He also suggests that a quota system should be introduced to allow Russian speakers to get public sector jobs and enter parliament. Yet most Estonians strongly oppose that idea. The lobby group Estonian National Movement's co-founder Martin Helm is one of them.
The Russians that we're speaking about are colonists brought in by the Soviet powers during the occupation. You have to either assimilate them, which means that you teach them the local language, the local history. You demand that they respect the local laws and the local customs. Or those who don't want to do that, you create a package of incentives for them to leave the country.
Last April, tensions between Estonian and Russian speakers boiled over when the government moved a statue honouring Soviet soldiers from the centre of Tallinn to a military cemetery. It sparked violent rioting and diplomatic friction with Moscow. In a bid to ease the multicultural strain in Estonia and elsewhere, the European Commission designated 2008 European Year of Intercultural Dialogue. The aim is to bring together communities of differing backgrounds through grassroots activities. It's not easy to find a mixed youth group in Estonia. Russian and Estonian-speaking youngsters live in parallel worlds. But the experimental theatre lab in Tallinn shows what can be done. Individuals can look each other in the eye, not merely as members of a separate language group.
Grassroots is a club where Estonian and Russian people meet once a month. We explore an important, interesting social subjects such as film and the media, or non-violent communication, first aid, or experimental social theatre. Unfortunately, Estonian and Russian young people don't communicate with each other very much. Our club's informal, cozy atmosphere enables active and friendly communication.